Thank you, David. I'm Barry Rosen with Forecast Market Timing. I've been doing technical work in Elliott Wave since 1988, and I specialize in timing. I made the cover of Timer Digest, which is no longer around, um, 3 or 4 years, and I was rated number one timer a few times. Um, I I cover commodities. I am covering 30 or 40 stocks and ETFs in my ETF newsletter, and I very versatile in looking at stock charts, so I'm happy to take any requests. Um, I I'm not a Kramer, so I don't know every single stock out there. I did want to just quickly start with an overview of the stock market, just to give us a context, because one of the things I do is I'm very good at timing the patterns and the cycles on the long-term stock market, and consequently, it keeps me out of trouble in terms of trying to buy stocks too soon. So I think we're at a point, timing wise, we had major geopolitical cycles this week. I talked about it 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we've had the Israeli-Iran situation come up. I don't think it's over, and I think this intensity with geopolitical cycles is going until the end of July. And my long-term timing is suggesting that we're topping and we're starting a long-term correction into late July, early August, and I think that could be about 10%. Consequently, I'm not rushing into most stocks without getting a 10% pullback and seeing where we are at the end of July. So that's my long-term overview. So I'm happy to take a stock symbol. David, what's next? All right,
Um, let's see. Uh, no one has posted anything yet. So yeah, everyone type something into the chat and Barry can. Okay, here's one. HRMY.
okay. So this is an hourly chart. Let me get an. I don't know the stock. Yeah, it's been kind of a congestive mess and disappointing mess for a while. I do a lot with Elliott Wave, and this again because we're looking for a pullback into the end of July. I would certainly wait for the market to at least retest the even we might even get back to the 2023 low. It seems to be a slower moving stock, but from an Elliott Wave point of view. Um, I suspect we're at least going to retest the April low, um, and it's down around at 26. So I'm not in a rush to, if you're in the stock and you're worried about it, it seems to be fairly slow and not doing anything. It doesn't, usually when you get these congestion patterns, um, it probably will do an Elliott wave and ABC up. So if we come down one more time, we'll get another push up above 42 for a C wave. My long-term timing on the stock market is looking for maybe 6,600 on the S&P 500 cash index into January 2026. So at the moment, we're looking for a 10% correction and then another rally into the end of the year. So I think judging how long it took to even get up from 20 to 40, I suspect, it could take a while to get back to 45, if it finds some good fundamentals. Okay, thank you.
All right. Uh, HIMS.
Okay, this stock has been kind of doing well with everything. We've had these nice run-ups since the April low. Everything's a little bit overbought. And again, we're looking for at least a 10% correction in the general stock market. So, if the market, from an Elliott Wave point of view, this market looks like it's going to fall another 6 points here. It could go back to 46. That's where the fourth wave is. So if it came back to 46 into late July, we'd feel better about it. But the computer is only giving a 42% chance for a new high to 77. And it's a little low, but not impossible. If we look at the weekly chart, again, this market kind of did a little bit too much too quickly. once in a while these kind of patterns can have a larger retracement if the fundamentals turn. I'm not. I think I'm familiar with this company, but at the moment I'm at least seeing a pullback to 46, and I'd be waiting until late July and early August to see if it's worth a chancing it to get to 77.
Oh,
Thanks,
okay.
Mike.
AVGO.
ABGO. Okay. Okay, let's look at the weekly chart. So this mark, like a lot of the tech stocks, this market's a little bit too overbought and doesn't have too much more room to run. And like I said, when I look at, I've been timing NVIDIA, which I was looking for 146. It could go high as 150. NVIDIA is probably going to be the last stock to top. So I'm kind of thinking tech and these big kind of mega cap tech stocks that everybody's interested in are kind of running on fumes here. We could get a little higher, um, but I'm more concerned that this 210 gap will get filled by the end of July, and so I'm not really feeling I'm not feeling aggressive about buying too much of anything here unless it's kind of oversold and has unusual fundamentals. I think the larger third wave projection up to 290 seems unlikely without some wild news coming out shortly. And again, I think we're just running out of time. You can just tell with what's going on in the world, for a lot of these stocks to kind of get dramatically higher highs short term after being up since April. Thanks, David.
All right. Uh, BAESY.
Start looking at the weekly chart. Had a nice run. And it looks like we completed a third wave here on the weekly chart. The fourth wave pullback target on the weekly chart's about 91. Lower weekly chart supports at 80. It does have a gap all the way down to 74. Um, the longer term um, charts, when we get these third wave completions on the weekly chart, you have to kind of, you can take a long time to have these long fourth wave consolidations. Again, the second wave took almost 5 or 6, well, it's about 6 or 7 months here in 2022. So chances are we could have a long consolidation above 92 before it has a chance for a fifth wave high. That's all I have to say on that, David.
All right. OKLO.
LLY, you said?
Uh, OKLO.
OKLL.
Um,
Another one I don't know.
Oklo Inc.
Okay, that one's not even coming up. Let's see why. Is the symbol OKLE? OKLL?
No, OKLO. It's NYSE stock.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
Um,
Okay, we
yeah,
got it.
I'm not familiar with it either. But
Okay, it's had a wonderful run up here. This year since it bottomed at the April low. And again, everything, the problem is we're at a place where we just can't chase stuff down up here. It's, I know some people think the market will go up in July. I don't see these geopolitical tensions, getting better until the end of July. And like I said, we need a 10% pullback is not even that is not even far already away from happening. It would be, but fourth wave projection is 60.75 and then down to 52. Again, and often the market will retest the previous fourth wave, which is 44.95. Now that would seem a huge fall. Again, I don't know the fundamentals of this stock, but I do know that, like everything else, it's a little bit overbought and we have to kind of be patient with it if we're going to add anything. There should be, um, um, the question is it going to have a fifth wave high? When we look at the stock, it actually did a minimum upward retracement here on the weekly. Again, I don't know the fundamentals of this particular stock to know that it has good long-term potential. I do suspect, if we get a decent pullback into late July or early August, that if it's going to if it's going to do another push up or at least retest the highs, it would do that into January. Okay, anything else?
All right. HRTG.
Okay, and let's get it's had a nice weekly run up with everything else since April. The weekly chart fourth wave pullback is projected at 1877. The first wave was between 11 to 5, so that was about 6 points. So, at least it's going to go down to this 2018 or 1843 level. Um, Again, another stock that I'm not very familiar with, but um, I do feel like everything is overbought, and even on the short-term basis, you can see it's kind of seems like it's in trouble. And I think, if you're interested in it at all, I would wait for it to get, at least back to 1867, and depending how sensitive it is to war cycles and tariff cycles, that you just have to kind of see how things play out by the end of July. Okay, next symbol, David.
All right. Dell.
Love their computers. I've not looked at their stock. People never ask me. Um, okay. Here's the weekly chart. It's been struggling on some level when you look at kind of the history of it on the weekly chart. It left a big gap down at 98.55, and certainly I kind of think a lot of these gaps have a good chance of getting filled. At some point, even in it is a tech stock, and I think the tech stocks are going to hold up a lot better than anything that's kind of tariff prone. Uh, we're looking for a minimum pullback to 103, and then there is this gap at 98. Um, it does look good. The extended target into next January could be up to 140 and to 160. Again, the tech stocks tend to be a longer term investment, and I feel better about them. So if we get a decent pullback to 103 or the 98 gap, and it's not falling apart because of some new tariff law or something like that, then I suspect it will be a good investment based on the charts. Okay, next, David.
Yeah, I like their computers too. I have three Dell computers and six Dell monitors around me that I'm running this event on. So,
Yeah, I never buy anything but Dell. I just really, but
uh,
okay, go ahead.
yeah, the next one is LOPE.
Okay, let's start with the weekly. It has a wonderful run here. Um, Monthly here first. Um, When you look at the monthly, it's if it's due for a pullback, you can see that the second wave pullback went from 115.50 to 69, which was about 45 points. So that's kind of the vulnerability on it. Uh, Again, it's like everything that we're watching, it's just running out of steam. If it did a divergent high by some miracle, or it's limited to 208, and it's really kind of come off way too much to start thinking that that's the case. Um, so chances are, we're looking for that maybe 45 cent pullback, which would take us down to 135, which is way down here, and the computer is showing that, and there's a gap there from the November low. So I don't know again, another stock I don't know the fundamentals on, but I do think it's certainly vulnerable to 156. And again, it kind of looks like we've had five ways up since the April low, and that means we have to do something bigger. And again, from the monthly chart, it looks like it would be about 45 points. So I'd be patient about this one to at least 155. Okay,
All right,
next.
the Tesla, TSLA.
Oh, my favorite. I do write about this one in my newsletter every day. It's kind of running out of steam. It doesn't, like a lot of the Mag 7 stocks, there aren't very many that look very good except for Microsoft and Nvidia. Nvidia is kind of running out of steam. We've been looking for 146 to 147. We projected 95 and it went there and we just didn't buy it that because it was up $15 that day. But we're running out of steam here. I've been kind of looking for Tesla to go to at least 270. Um, um, it's got a very complicated Elliott wave pattern. Um, Short term, if it holds up another day or something, we're looking at, we don't think it's going to take out 336, but it is very vulnerable to fall to about 292 or 270. And so I'm going to see where it's going to be at the end of July. Now, it is kind of a unique stock, and it doesn't always follow the broader market as a whole. The robo taxis are set to roll in Austin, I believe, next week. And, you could see that if that is very successful, I know they were thinking of delaying it because of a riot potential, but if that is successful, you could see, the stock pop to maybe maximum 360. But I just, uh, I'm concerned that it's, with the broader market falling, that it's vulnerable. And again, I'm just kind of waiting, for larger pullbacks on most of these stocks before I consider anything. Again, Tesla is a unique baby in its own right, but you can see even from the Elliott wave point of view that, it would look better with one more new high, even 5 ways up here, 274 would be about 30 points. It really has to come in. We could see a slight new high to 339, and then it would have to do something bigger to the downside. Okay, next.
Right. WMB.
Okay, we got a very nice investment long term here. How much more does it have? Let's look at the monthly chart. Monthly chart's got a bad bar in it. Well, like I said, everything is kind of overbought, and we've had this nice run up since the April low, though it hasn't really run up nearly as well as many other stocks have run up. I mean, it just ran up about 9 points. It's looking like it needs a fourth wave down to 46.87 on the weekly chart, and the daily chart again has just been kind of toppy congestion. So you could see how it's going to need to kind of roll over with these Elliott wave patterns. You can see that the first place it's going to go is to this ledge at 5150. But the weekly chart's showing that we could see 46, $47. And so again, I'm kind of waiting to see how a lot of these stocks react to all these kind of riot and violence and war cycles that are not going to go away and run through the end of July, even maybe into a little bit of August. So I don't have an early August low. So I'm cautious about everything until, I mean, there will be some stocks that will do better during this time period. Certainly gold or GLD. I follow a lot of commodities in my letter, but and oil, of course. And we had an oil breakout before the Israeli war happening technically, but yeah, I would be a little bit cautious about. I think it does suggest that it needs a fifth wave higher. Again, if you go back to 2020, the first wave up was from about 9 to 28. So even after a pullback, we should make a new high towards 63 or something into January 26. That's kind of what I would guess. Okay, David, next one.
Right. Microsoft. MSFT.
Oh, I love Microsoft. Okay, Microsoft has been the best of the Magnificent Seven. It, it's a lot. Everybody's been rolling into tech because they're a little bit more tariff proof. And I had been looking long term for 482. I've had that in my newsletter for a while. It got close to 481 the other day. Um, it's one of the better Magnificent Seven. If the rest of tech holds up a few more days, if we get some magical news someplace. I don't think it would take out 492 short term. I've been looking to buy it on a pullback to 434. I'm not sure it's going to go that much. It's just one of the better of the Magnificent Seven, but you can see here on the daily Elliott wave projection 432.27. I had 434. I don't know. It would take some horrific news to get that 400 gap filled, which everybody would love to get. But chances are, again, a lot of these, our overall projection on this next pullback is 10%. So 10% of 48 is about $50. And so you could see how you could easily get to 432 before you might start nibbling on it. Long term, I like it maybe for 600. Um, um, let's see if I had a projection, I think up to 600 or 602 on the monthly chart. So I think it's a good long-term investment, but I would definitely wait for at least 432 to start nibbling at it. Next, David, thank you.
SoFi Technologies, SOFI.
Okay, let's look at the weekly chart. Okay, so this market has obviously been struggling. It looks like it kind of peaked, last January. This recovery has been kind of sickly, and it looks like it's just about done. If we count the waves by hand, 870. 3 points. Yeah, 1580. If it manages a slightly higher high, I don't think it's going to get above 1580. So this projection on the computer up to 20 is a little bit bogus because computer gives us a 17% chance of happening. When we look at this pattern, it's just really been in trouble for a number of years. This looks like it's been a corrective wave to this first move down, and it's hard to imagine getting another stronger push down. Again, I don't know the fundamentals on this stock, but again, if we want to invest in it again, we certainly want to wait for it to see where it is in late July, early August, and to see if it holds this $8.60 level. Okay.
Right.
Mm,
Apple, AAPL.
okay. Cover Apple in my letter every day. Um, my long-term target on Apple has only been 240. As you know, the fundamentals keep disappointing. And it was our golden stock for so many years, but it's just really kind of not kind of where it used to be. If we're looking at the January 2026 high, I thought the upper possibility for it was 240. Now, how far is it going to fall if we fall another 10%? Again, 182 was one target that I had down here. Again, it's so kind of China sensitive. And we've temporarily solved some of the China tariff things, but you just get this sense long term that the China problem is not going to go a long way. The long-term geopolitical cycles are not good for China, Taiwan next year. And so I think we're in trouble there. And I think Apple it's just not the golden stock that it used to be. I mean, I think we have a good chance of seeing 240 when it comes back to life. But if we want to reinvest in again, I'm looking more like at 182 to 180.
Right.
Okay.
Bit Bitcoin is
Oh,
next.
good. We cover Bitcoin. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we do cover Bitcoin. I'm covering, hold on. Okay. This is not the right chart. I'm gonna cover it with GBTC, which is the ETF. I do have the chart. I'm just trying to think what it has a special symbol on this program, and I don't have it saved. Let's see, Bitcoin. Okay, let's look at GBTC, which is the ETF for it. Um, and I can talk about Bitcoin because I do talk about it every day. Um, So, everybody in the world has been looking for Bitcoin to go to 200,000. Um, I'm sorry, I can't pull up the chart because I've got, it's one of those I have to look up. But GBTC, which covers, which is the ETF, one of the ETFs for it, it's very popular, has been acting very toppy. I've been expecting, um, again, I do cycle work. So the cycle suggests the cycle highs for Bitcoin are due in August, and then cycle lows are due into November. I was looking for Bitcoin to get up to 125 to 130, into that August high, and that would complete a long-term pattern on the weekly chart, and would complete five ways up. Shorter term, it's vulnerable to Bitcoin's default to 92,000 or 89,000. I don't think it's going to go lower than that. One of the things that I always worry about with everybody loves cryptos, and I do too, and I've been very good with trading it. But on a reality, I mean, you can see how when gold is doing so well, you can take gold to the bank more easily than you can take Bitcoin. Let's say we have a computer problem, and it affects our long-term infrastructure on computers. I mean, where does your account go? I mean, it's not very tangible. So I always worry about it for that reason. But I mean, it's supposed to be this huge protective thing because of, the way it was created. I do like it long term this year. I'm going to reinvest in it if it gets down to 89 or 90, but I don't think it's going to take out 110 short term. And I don't like the way it's reacted today. It was down way too much, and it just seems like people are more interested in gold, gold and oil, the short-term investments, obviously over the next month with these crises that are not going to end. And Bitcoin usually is very crisis prone, and it reacts well, but I'm not sure exactly when it's going to happen. I'm waiting for it to go to 92 or 89, and then I would feel a bit better about buying it. And with GBTC, it's not coming up. I mean, we haven't pulled back very much. I don't know. I was even thinking we might only get to 76 here, but the long-term projection on GBTC was up at 101 to 102, which is really quite nice. So, gee, yeah, the monthly chart suggesting maximum pullback to 71, which I don't think we're going to get, and the fifth wave was projecting, I believe 101 or something. Although now it's showing 116 again. This is the ETF GBTC. Okay, David, I guess we are out of time. We're
Oh,
good.
yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
So again, fortunecast.com. I have daily newsletter and look forward to I think my David's going to have my follow-up information on online. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.